In the summer of 2019, the Clippers had a historic offseason, making two monumental acquisitions that would forever change the course of their franchise. Kawhi Leonard yearned to go back home and play for his hometown team, but in order to do so, he had the ambitions to team up with another star, in particular Paul George. Fresh off a championship as the most dominant two-way player in the game, the Clippers were willing to do whatever it took to get Kawhi. Unfortunately, they were a bit too willing. The colossal trade package they sent to OKC ignited a new era for Sam Presti and the Thunder. Not only did it kickstart their rebuild, it created a roster that snatched the first seed of the conference, the youngest team to ever do so, and still with so much draft capital left. This could have been the Clippers, if they were smarter. Together, this duo really only had one playoff run where both of them were fully healthy. It was a disaster for the Clippers, a complete failure of a super team. Now they have such few assets, so deep in the hole. But instead of trying to climb out of it, they keep putting a band-aid on a situation that is all but inevitable. How's it going, folks? My name's Andy, and today let's take a look at how the Clippers organization sabotaged themselves, and how they have, without question, the worst future of any team in the entire league.
Mavericks in the second round.
When the Clippers lost to the Dallas Mavericks in the first round of the playoffs, it was symbolic in a way. It basically signaled that all the moves they made, all the superstar talent they've acquired by giving up so many picks, was a complete waste of time. They lost to a team led by one of the NBA's brightest young superstars, as their team of aging stars and repeated injuries have been the story of this entire saga. The sad part is, it actually looked like this could be the year to make a run at it. Kawhi played a whopping 68 regular season games, his most since the 2016-17 season. The years of load management seems to have finally paid off, except it didn't. Towards the end of the year, Kawhi once again did not beat the allegations. His degenerative knee condition is exactly that, degenerative, and there's very little you can do to fix it. While they've beaten the Mavs several times during this era, this loss became the final nail in the coffin, a reminder that this team was not meant to win. While some teams have been known to stockpile draft picks like crazy, Sam Presti, the Clippers are known to be the exact opposite.
But I gotta say, I'm just fired up to be here today. It's pretty cool, pretty damn cool.
From 2019 until 2024, the Clippers only made one first-round draft selection who actually got decent minutes. That was Kobe Brown in the 2023 draft, and to say he got minutes is generous, because he barely played in his rookie year. In this 6-year span, Kobe Brown is the only first-round pick the Clippers drafted and kept for his entire rookie season. To make matters worse, most of their future picks until 2030 are either going to OKC or Philadelphia. And even the ones that they're keeping, OKC and Philly have the option to swap picks if they want to. It's just a dreadful situation. We all know about the Paul George trade that forced the Clippers to give up 4 unprotected first-round picks and several pick swaps. So you would think they learned their lesson after realizing this team was falling apart right before our eyes. But then, in the 2023 offseason, they jumped into the fire once again.
Reported that James Harden is headed to the Los Angeles Clippers in a blockbuster trade. They received James Harden, PJ Tucker, Philip Petrusev for Marcus Morris, Robert Covington, Nick Batum, KJ Martin, 2 firsts, 2 seconds, and a pick swap.
The initial reaction to this trade was met with mixed opinions. For one, Harden proved in Philly that he can still ball out. He still has the capability to lead an offense as a starting point guard, and he still had enough juice to take over games when he needs to. The most important things to look at here are the 2028 unprotected first-round pick and the 2029 first-round pick swap. After that devastating Paul George package that depleted most of their assets, this Harden trade finished off whatever they had left. Losing these first-rounders is exceptionally bad, because this is around the time the Clippers are going to be pretty terrible. I'd imagine 2028, 2029-ish, that's the time the Clippers are gonna tank to the bottom, because that's right after Kawhi's contract ends. Had the Clippers kept those picks, they would have at least had something to look forward to in the future. Now, there is a bright side. In terms of immediate impact, Harden is great. Actually, he's exactly what the Clippers were missing for so long. An experienced facilitator, a very competent playmaker who can run the offense so their two wing players don't have to. Harden worked well with the team, and they finished the season with the 4th-ranked offense in the entire NBA. They were actually 2nd for the majority of the season until Kawhi went down with an injury. That's a massive improvement from 16th in the previous year. So in reality, this trade worked out well in the short term. But that's about it. It was a short-term solution to a long-term problem that's plagued them for many years.
You know, I'm not a system player. I am a system. You know what I mean? So
at the time of the Harden trade, Steve Ballmer and the Clippers organization were well aware of Paul George's impending player option and free agency. It was kinda swept under the rug the entire year though, because his decision was based solely on how the Clippers performed. That's why the front office went into panic mode and got Harden in the first place, hoping to make a deep push into the playoffs to show George, hey look, we do have a chance to win the title. Not. It was a huge gamble, because if Paul George did in fact walk in free agency, their hopes for contending would be over, and they're left with a bunch of underachieving years and 0 picks. It turns out the exact worst case scenario that could have happened, happened. After 5 years of Paul George, he opted to not re-sign here. The Clippers lost him for absolutely nothing. Shortly after his departure, the Clippers released this statement. We negotiated for months with Paul and his representative on a contract that would make sense for both sides, and we were left far apart. The gap was significant. The goal was to re-sign him, but after such an abysmal playoff series against the Mavs, they soured on the idea of giving him max money. It makes sense, but at the same time, without him, their window to compete has closed. Something I've thought about recently was, do you remember how Kawhi handled the situation with the Spurs? Everyone was pointing fingers, some gave him the benefit of the doubt, others were saying he purposely sat out, and purposely did not cooperate with team doctors. It was a massive ordeal that made fans really sour on Kawhi Leonard, the once beloved player who was supposed to carry the Spurs into a new era. His injuries remained shrouded in mystery, but when he arrived in Toronto, he was all of a sudden in peak form, the best we've ever seen him play. It made people wonder what went wrong in San Antonio to create such a distrust between him and the team doctors. Right after that incredible season in Toronto, he signed a massive contract with the Clippers as an unrestricted free agent. Keep this in mind. Now, fast forward to the 2023-24 season, the first year that Kawhi's played a significant number of games in a long time. After so many years of rehab and recovery, it seemed like Kawhi has finally returned back to his superstar form. For a while, he was playing like a legit MVP candidate. And so, midway through the season, the Clippers rewarded him with a brand new 3-year extension. Kawhi deserved it after proving he could stay on the court and play for extended periods of time. But did he really prove that? Or did he want to play just so he can get paid? And that he knows his knees will slowly deteriorate, which is why when the playoffs roll around, Kawhi is always hurt. Is it simply a coincidence that Kawhi somehow finds a new burst of energy right before his contract is about to expire? Kawhi's health has been a beacon of mystery throughout his career. It started in San Antonio, and we thought it was only a one-time thing. But now, it's clear his body cannot handle the burden of an entire NBA season. Perhaps I'm being too accusatory. Kawhi's injury is a huge deal, and I don't think he intends to try harder only during contract years. But then you see an announcement like this. Clippers Kawhi Leonard expected to be ready for USA Olympic amid knee injury. Wait a sec, he just got a serious knee injury and surgery in the playoffs, and now he's ready to train for the Olympics? Okay, maybe he is healthy now, but that's gotta sting for Clippers fans. He has obligations to play for his organization and a history of knee problems. For him to put himself at further risk by playing in the Olympics, it's a slap in the face for the fans. Also, when the Clippers signed Kawhi to an extension, their hope was to re-sign Paul George too. But without him, there's no chance they can do anything now. A crippled Kawhi plus an aging James Harden, an erratic Russell Westbrook, who just had literally the worst playoff series I've ever seen, along with the oldest roster in the entire NBA, if there's a light at the end of the tunnel, the Clippers are not finding it. The Los Angeles Clippers have always been the little brother to the LA Lakers. After decades of being in the NBA, they have still yet to differentiate themselves from the Lakers. However, their struggles spanning several decades are almost entirely self-inflicted. The Lob City era was the most exciting time for this franchise in history, yet they never accomplished anything noticeable during those years, besides a couple of highlight-worthy plays. What we do remember is their failures. Their failure to get past the second round. Their failure to close out a series when up 3-1. With that era over, you'd expect them to start over, draft some young assets, and build from scratch. Instead, they went in the opposite direction, trading away every asset they had for a temporary super team. They broke every rule in the rebuilding rulebook, all because Steve Ballmer is so freaking rich. Being in Los Angeles is a blessing and a curse. There's a ton of players who grew up in California and the LA area with all their families so close to them. So it's easy to get free agents to come. It's a curse because they haven't had a true rebuild since drafting Blake Griffin back in 2009. That's what this franchise needs right now. A young, exciting, charismatic player. Someone who the crowd wants to cheer for. Not a bunch of old, washed-up stars who are only here to get paid and live in LA. Thank you all so much for watching. I hope y'all enjoyed the video. Let me know your thoughts in the comment section. Where do you see the Clippers headed from here? Can they actually make any moves that could possibly help them contend? Or with the exit of Paul George, is their window closed? I hope y'all enjoyed the video, and of course, as always, I'll see you next time. Peace.